What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Cinematic Reviews. As always, I'm your host, Chris, and this is a show about all things movies and TV. I got another fun episode for you today. We're going to cover a couple of news items along with a teaser trailer reaction, something I don't normally do on the show, but I have to talk about the teaser trailer that I saw this weekend. And then now we'll lead into today's featured film, Jurassic World Rebirth, the latest installment in the beloved Jurassic franchise. Couple reminders at the top of the episode today. You can watch the show every week at youtube.com/the cinematic reviews. You can also listen to the audio version on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and many more platforms. You can also follow the show on Facebook, X, and Instagram. And then you can subscribe to the show at youtube.com. It helps out the show a lot, and I appreciate all the support that everyone has given over the last few years while I did this podcast. So with that, let's head over to today's news and reactions. So a couple of box office updates. We have F1 the movie racing to $237 million in the first week. This is the Brad Pitt Formula One movie that has been blowing people's minds at the theater, including mine. You can check out my review of this on the show I did last week. Very, very exciting movie. Very well done. Brad Pitt is amazing in it. This movie had a $200 million budget. So everything going forward from here is just profit for the film, which is really exciting because there is already talks of a sequel in the works with Brad Pitt and possibly Tom Cruise. Those are the rumors circulating around that sequel right now. And then also to tie in today's film, Jurassic World Rebirth has earned $318 million in the first weekend. Now, granted, this was a holiday weekend, so they kind of count, Wednesday to Sunday is 5 days in that quote-unquote weekend. But still, 318 million is a really strong start for a franchise that's kind of been up and down lately. I'm going to get into more of that during the featured film segment. But that's a strong start for an installment in a beloved franchise. So good on them. Go ahead and check out Rebirth if you haven't already. And please don't listen to the review if you have. There will be spoilers coming up here shortly. So pause the episode here if you have not seen Rebirth. And then one more bit of news / reaction is Nolan's newest film, The Odyssey, which is coming out next year in July. They showed about a minute and a half teaser in front of Jurassic World at my theater. There was rumors that it could have been in front of Superman or even Fantastic Four, but in my theater they showed it in front of Jurassic World, and it got me very, very excited. Christopher Nolan is one of my favorite directors, so whenever he releases a film, it's kind of an event for me, just like for a lot of people, a Tom Cruise movie or a Tom Hanks movie is an event for them. Christopher Nolan is one of those directors that is a huge event right next to Quentin Tarantino. The Odyssey is a story that I don't think we've really been exposed to. I think I briefly researched it before the show. I think there was a TV show a few years ago, maybe a movie that was made back in like the early 2000s. But as far as like a big blockbuster mainstream movie, I think this is probably the first time that we're going to be exposed to this story. Even though it is a world-renowned book that I read when I was in middle school, I think. But the cast is pretty amazing. We have Charlize Theron, John Bernthal, Anne Hathaway. Matt Damon is the lead character as Odysseus. We have Tom Holland, who plays his son. Robert Pattinson's in there. Zendaya. John Leguizamo shows up in here. Ryan Hurst from Sons of Anarchy is in here. So it's a pretty star-studded cast, and Nolan's been pretty known to do that. All the way back from probably The Prestige, maybe. You could even make an argument for Memento with Guy Pearce and Carrie-Anne Moss. But I think the biggest one would have been Inception and probably the Batman films where he started just scooping up all these really big stars at the time, like Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Leo DiCaprio, um, in Inception. So he's well known in casting the best of the best, and I'm super excited to see what they do with this very very popular story that is being taught in schools. If you're not too familiar, um, the Odyssey is basically the story of, I think, a son, if I remember right, traveling to look for his father. That would be Tom Holland in this case, searching for Matt Damon. And they travel through various spots in kind of the Middle East area, I think. Let me see if I can find a synopsis here. Follows Odysseus in his journey home after the Trojan War, showcasing his encounters. Yep. So Odysseus was I can't remember if he was a general or just one of the leaders there. In the Trojan War, it kind of just follows his adventures as he travels home. Tom Holland's character, Matt Damon's son, is also searching for it. All he's heard about is rumors of where his father is, and he's kind of racing time to reunite with his father after his father was fighting in the Trojan War. So, I mean, it sounds kind of boring when I explain it, but I trust Nolan to give us a pretty exciting film here. It seems like they filmed on location, which is what I really, really love about Nolan. He's ready to give us an authentic experience at the movies. So look for more trailers for the Odyssey when that leading up to its release date next summer in July. So with that, that's all the news and reactions I have for today's episode. Let's head over to our featured film of the day, Jurassic World Rebirth. So Jurassic World Rebirth is the latest installment in the Jurassic franchise, a franchise that I grown up with and absolutely love. The last couple installments kind of pulled me away from the franchise a little bit. Jurassic Park came out a year before I was born, but by the time I was probably 4, 5, or 6 years old, I was really going at it with the Jurassic Park, and then the Lost World when that came out. Jurassic Park 3 is one of my favorites. Surprisingly, I know that one's not a huge fan favorite, but I really enjoy it. It's probably the one I've seen the most, even more than the original Jurassic Park. But I think Jurassic Park 1 is hands down the best one of the series. It's just for some reason, when I was younger, I just rewatched Jurassic Park 3 way more than any of the other ones. I think it's because, we get Alan Grant back. I think with the pterodactyls, that's something that we hadn't seen before. And I just like kind of the setting in there, the mood. It was very kind of dark, foggy, a little more scarier maybe with the Spinosaurus and the T-Rex going at it, the raptors. But for sure, Jurassic Park 1 is my favorite, and I'll get into all that when we get to the ranking segments later on in the show. But and then Jurassic World came out, and that one surprised me. I remember when it was being released, they're like, we're changing the name, we're getting an all-new cast. It's going to be, quote-unquote, in the same universe, but kind of a reboot. And I surprisingly loved it. I rewatched all these movies in preparation for Rebirth and the podcast today. And Jurassic World kind of skyrocketed up in my rankings. Same thing with The Lost World. That was one that I didn't really care about growing up. But those two have really risen up in my ranks, and I absolutely love them now. And then Fallen Kingdom came out, and that really drove me away from the Jurassic franchise a bit with the cloning, and just the overall story wasn't great. And then Dominion came out, and that was more of a cash grab, bringing back all the original cast with the new cast. It was kind of like an Avengers style film where you have Sam Neill meeting up with Chris Pratt. You have Jeff Goldblum coming back, Laura Dern teaming up with Bryce Dallas Howard's character. So it was just really kind of like, well, that second one didn't work out. Let's just bring everybody back. Let's get all these older fans with the new fans and just make a bunch of money with Dominion. Um, so when Rebirth was announced, I was kind of the same that I was with Jurassic World, where I was like, oh, great, another, soft reboot, a new cast we have to learn to love. Uh, Maybe not such a great story to go with it, because it's hard to replicate that first movie. The first Jurassic Park from Spielberg was really lightning in a bottle at the time. It reimagined what technology can be used for in movies, and just the whole concept of like, let's bring dinosaurs back and put them in a zoo on this island was really, really neat. But yeah, Rebirth kind of tries its best to bring that spirit back from the first film. And when I mean that, I mean it really brings the spirit back, because I think I counted five, maybe even seven. Let's see, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven uh, moments in Rebirth that were basically recreations of scenes in the original movie. Now they've kind of sprinkled these throughout the last three installments, but this one, it was really obvious that they like, let's rewatch the first movie and let's pick the scenes that were iconic and let's just shove them into this story to kind of bring back the hype of Jurassic Park, which I get. You want to carry that spirit um, throughout these installments, but it was really obvious how hard they tried to make this Jurassic Park 2.0 in a way. Um, but with that, I still like this installment more than probably Fallen Kingdom and Dominion. Uh, I might be a little biased, but you put Scarlett Johansson in there, who is my number one gal, and I'm gonna love it no matter how bad it really is on paper. But when you kind of dive into the story of this installment, it kind of makes a lot of sense. We tried the cloning, we've tried, bringing the dinosaurs into the world more. But with this one, the mission is to collect these three samples of dinosaur blood to create a sort of cure or treatment for heart disease, which is a huge issue in today's world, medically speaking. So I thought that was an interesting thing to tie into this movie, where like, let's use these dinosaurs that we brought back to life and try to save ourselves with it. um, and then as the story kind of unfolds, it shares that the atmosphere is affecting the dinosaurs. There's too much oxygen, so they have to kind of migrate closer to the equator where it's warmer and the oxygen levels are different, which is fine, I guess. I wasn't the biggest fan of that part of the story. You guys, the studio and the creators spent three films trying to set up this thing where dinosaurs are just roaming around like wolves or bears. But then they're like, well, that didn't really work. Let's scale it back. Let's contain them into one location and let's make it forbidden to go there. They even go as far as passing laws, like world laws, where like if you get caught, you go into prison, pretty much for the rest of your life. Which I thought was an interesting take on this, where they basically outlaw going near dinosaurs unless they're in a zoo. Um, so that part of the story I didn't really vibe with, but I do like the MacGuffin in this, where it's kind of like the Avengers in Infinity War, where you have to collect the stones. This is kind of where they're like, let's take Scarlett Johansson, let's take a group of mercenaries, and let's go get these three vials of blood, kind of like the Infinity Stones in Marvel. So that was something I really picked up on here. But I still enjoyed it. It was a fun experience seeing it with my family, being a kid again, watching what should have been dinosaurs on screen, but they didn't really look like dinosaurs, and I'll get into that in a little bit here. That was probably my biggest issue of the film, is what they did with the dinosaurs in a Jurassic World movie. But just kind of going through the cast and crew here, It was directed by Gareth Edwards. You probably recognize his name. He's been attached to some pretty big films. Rogue One, a Star Wars story, in the 2014 reboot of Godzilla. And then he did a film called in 2023 called The Creator, which I enjoyed. It was kind of one that got kind of left in the dust in 2023, but I enjoyed it. That was kind of his AI take, which is an interesting movie. You should definitely check that out for sure. He's a director that I haven't really been big of a fan on. My favorite film of him has probably got to be Rogue One. I think that's his best film, honestly. And then followed by maybe Godzilla. I think those are his two biggest films that he's probably ever done and probably ever will. Not to be too blunt about it, but he's just one of those directors that just hasn't really blown up, you know. Um, but he's had a couple big hits. You know, like Godzilla was a pretty big hit back in 2014, and then Rogue One just basically showed Star Wars fans that a good Star Wars movie can be made. Um, and it's honestly it's my favorite of the new movies. It's one of my favorites out of the entire series, except for Empire Strikes Back, of course. But he's still got some directing chops in him. Now, Rebirth is probably going to be lower on his, ranking scale as far as his films. But it was a decent installment in the franchise, considering what we've had beforehand. Jumping through the cast here, like I said, Scarlett Johansson. She was in here. She plays Zora Bennett. She is kind of a mercenary like for hire. She is recruited by Martin Krebs to retrieve the three vials of blood. Martin works for a pharmaceutical company that is looking to cure heart disease and other related ailments around the heart, which is really cool. I wish we would find a cure to heart disease, and maybe it'll take us to make dinosaurs to do that. But I was fine with that part of the story. I was into that. But Scarlett Johansson is freaking badass in here. I absolutely love her, and that's not just my bias side. I think she is really good in this film. She brings a kind of warm-hearted yet really blunt and stern mercenary side to her, which is really cool. She has really good chemistry with Jonathan Bailey's character, Dr. Henry Loomis. I think right off the bat, you could tell that they were going to kind of get pushed along together and form this bond by the end of the film. But I really like those two. Jonathan Bailey really surprised me. I don't think I've ever seen him in anything. Let me look up his filmography here. He was in Wicked, so that's probably the only thing that I've seen other than that. Yeah, seems like he's pretty new to the blockbuster side of Hollywood. But he really surprised me. I enjoyed his Henry Loomis character. He is the dinosaur expert in this movie, similar to Alan Grant. It was actually kind of slipped in there by him that he learned under Alan Grant back when he was like 12 years old, which is really cool. I like that. I like those little connections to the original film, like they do, and I think they did that very, very well. They're also joined by Duncan Kincaid, who is played by Mahershala Ali. And I really liked Mahershala Ali in here. I think the Duncan character is really awesome. He's got some really big moments in here, just like the flare scene that I'll be talking about in a little bit here. It was very reminiscent of Jeff Goldblum. But he's really good in here. He is I guess you can call him the captain of the ship that they take to the island to retrieve the samples. He is best friends to Scarlett Johansson's character, so I like their connection too. It was kind of a brother sister like bond, and that's the thing too. They really take a few moments and kind of dig a little bit into each character's past. Other than Martin, we really don't know a whole about him, and frankly, we really don't need to. He's kind of the villain, I guess you could say, of the movie, even though the dinosaurs are really the villain. He's kind of like the human villain. He's kind of like the trying to think of one from previous films. Probably McKnight's character in the first movie, where he's basically trying to screw over everybody for money. Let me see if I can remember his name here. I'm drawing a blank. Where was McKnight's character here? Wow, I can't find it. God, what was his name? Wayne or something? Wayne McKnight's character. What the hell? I'm gonna have to Google it. I know this is great podcasting right now, but it's gonna drive me nuts. Wayne McKnight, Jurassic Park. Dennis, that was his name. Wow, I can't believe I forgot about Dennis. So yeah, Martin Krebs is kind of the Dennis of this installment. Works for the pharmaceutical company. Like I said, he's played by Rupert Friend. Never seen him before, from what I recall. But he played. He was in Pride and Prejudice. Oh, he was Hitman. So I have seen him before. He was in Hitman 47. If you ever seen that one, that's a deep cut. Jesus. I digress again. But yeah, he played a really good douchebag. He gets a few scenes there where it's kind of like, wow, he's really bringing it on the evil side. He tries to kill one of the young kids in there. Well, not tries to kill, but he doesn't really save him. So I guess he was trying to kill him. But and that's something new that we haven't. If I can't really remember if we've seen this before, but we have two sets of groups here. I guess Dominion kind of touched on it a little bit. Where we have the research team, and then we have this family who ends up crossing paths by sheer luck, miracle, the universe, whatever you want to call it. But I really liked their little dynamic. Ruben, Teresa, Isabella, and then Xavier, who is Teresa's boyfriend. They get stuck. Their boat gets topside by some dinosaurs, and they are rescued by Scarlett Johansson and the gang. I really like them. I like them wandering through the woods, kind of stumbling across all these dinosaurs. We eventually get to meet little Dolores, who is one of the little baby dinosaurs that Isabella grabs along the way and stuffs in her backpack. That was kind of their way of like, let's throw a little cute, kind of like Blue. Like Blue was a huge hit in the first three Jurassic World movies. Now they're kind of moving into Dolores here. Looks like Dolores could be in the sequel since she made it off the island with Isabella and the family. So we'll see what they do with Dolores. I think she'll end up being a pretty big hit for the little kids going to see Jurassic World in the future. So, but I really like them. I like that family dynamic. And then eventually they cross paths once again at the very end when they fight the D-Rex, which, well, let's lead right into there. So the design of the dinosaurs, really don't like it. When the D-Rex, which is the bigger dinosaur that was teased at the beginning of the film, and then resurfaces back at the end when he busts out of the facility, looks like the xenomorph from Alien, which is not what we want to do in a dinosaur film. Like, if you're going to make aliens, make it an alien movie. The dinosaurs need to look like dinosaurs. We're getting too far into this crossbreeding, mutation, hybrid stuff. Like, these dinosaurs look like they were from Mars or some distant planet called Pandora or some crap. Like, let's get back to the basics. Let's get back to like real dinosaurs. Like, give me the T-Rex, give me the raptors, give me, the brontosauruses and all that stuff. Like, let's cut it. The closest one we probably got were the Titansauruses or whatever they're called. They looked very similar to Bronchiosauruses, but they had the long skinny tail and all that. But yeah, it's just, we're getting way too into this whole mutation. Let's make the dinosaurs scarier. It's a freaking dinosaur. T-Rex is as scary as it's going to get. Let's quit the mutations. Let's quit the hybrid crap. Because that's just, we're getting too close to like UFO stuff. And that's not what we want in a dinosaur movie. We want dinosaurs in a dinosaur film. Leave the aliens to the aliens movies. So that's my little stand on my soapbox moment for today's episode. I just that really threw me off when those dinosaurs started popping up in here. So I get it. A couple of them were like actual dinosaurs back in the day. Cool. Let's introduce some weird ones. But let's stop making crap up. Like I get it. You can clone dinosaurs. You can bring them back to life. But let's not crossbreed shit. Like that's just not what we want. We don't want any two-headed dinosaurs with a show in that freaking tube. That was like when that movie came up, I was like, I leaned over my brother and was like, okay, this is ridiculous. Like, what are we doing? We're giving two heads to a dinosaur. This is Alien 4 type crap. Like, let's not do this. So, but the action was great. So my favorite moment was probably the water stream, the river stream part where um, the family of four gets stuck on their own. They got to go through this jungle and they come across the stream and they got to get across it. So they stumble across a raft left behind, and they get ambushed by this T-Rex looking thing, which is probably the closest one we got to an original dinosaur. That was a pretty frightening moment with little Isabel getting stuck underneath that raft and the dinosaur just kind of pecking at it, trying to get at her. That was some pretty intense action there. The pterodactyl like things were pretty crazy with Dr. Loomis and Scarlett Johansson climbing up this huge cliff, or climbing down. They were rappelling down, excuse me, and getting attacked by one of those big things the size of an F-16, as Loomis says. That was some pretty cool action. So there is really cool stuff happening, like even towards the end of the movie with the D-Rex. Like that was some pretty gnarly action that they did with him. It's just like they look like aliens attacking humans, not dinosaurs attacking humans. That's just my issue there. But the action I still really enjoyed. It's very entertaining. The score was great, very reminiscent of the original film. They even put the original song in there in one of the moments that I'll be talking about here very, very shortly. But I love the music. It still has that spirit, that Jurassic vibe that John Williams brought to us in the first film. So I was really glad that, like, when the music kicked in, I was like, okay, this feels like a Jurassic Park movie, and I'm very, very happy right now. So kudos to the score. I think it was Alexander Desplat did the score. What has he done? I'm not familiar with that name. He did a really good job, though. I like what he did with the score in here. Let me look him up here. Composer. What did he do? So he did Argo. Interesting. I do like the music in Argo. That's the only one I recognize. Well, he did Del Toro's Pinocchio. Yeah, that was a pretty decent score too. So yeah, I mean he's done a few films, but I think he did a really good job with the score in this movie. I was very, very happy. Like I said, it really felt like I was watching the original Jurassic Park, which is good. One of the big things about that original film was that John Williams score, and I think he did a very good job bringing that back. The plot, the MacGuffin, I talked about that already. Very interesting, something we haven't really touched upon. So at least they're trying. I'll give them that. They at least tried to make something new as far as like plot in these installments. I'm just glad they didn't do the cloning. Yeah, we did mutations, but the cloning really threw me off in Fallen Kingdom and Dominion a little bit. Now we're kind of getting too far in there with the hybrids and mutations. So we need to get back to like bring back the parks, bring back the original dinosaurs. But still, it was an interesting plot in MacGuffin. So now let's go over the moments I've been kind of hinting at. So the first one I have on my list is Rich Guy Recruits a Dinosaur Expert. Sound familiar? It's basically the plot of the first movie where John Hammond comes and he recruits Alan Grant to basically approve his park. He's a raptor expert, similar to Henry Loomis. He's kind of a dinosaur expert. He, of course, learned underneath Alan Grant, so that's another huge connection there. So yeah, pretty much the same setup as the very first film, where they needed an expert to approve some kind of mission. Then we have Loomis sees / feels a dinosaur for the first time. Uh, this entire scene in the field where Loomis walks up and he's touching the dinosaur's leg and just being in the moment, very copy paste Alan Grant's, Sam Neill's characters first time seeing a dinosaur in the field. Same music, same amazement. We didn't get the tears from Sam Neill, but we got the tears from Jonathan Bailey, and I really appreciate he shedded a couple tears there. I mean, not to dunk on Sam Neill, but we probably could have gotten a few tears there from Sam Neill, but probably wasn't in the script, so I won't hold it against him. But I like that little touch there where they had Jonathan Bailey shed a couple tears because he finally got to touch a dinosaur with his bare hands. So that was a copy and paste moment, pretty much. Characters in the long grass. I mean, that's an entire scene from The Lost World with Goldblum and Julianne Moore walking through the long grass with the Raptors, very similar to what Scarlett Johansson and Duncan and them do. Then we have Duncan luring the dinosaur away with a flare, which was basically the trailer shot. This is copy and paste Jeff Goldblum at the end of the first Jurassic Park movie, where he lures the T-Rex away from the kids and the rest of the group with a flare. Basically, Duncan recreates that scene in Rebirth, where he lures the D-Rex away with the flare. What they didn't do, and what I think I would have did if I wrote this script, I would have had Duncan, unfortunately, perish. In the first film, we had Jeff Goldblum get basically thrown into the outhouse and bust up his leg. Here, Duncan pretty much goes unscathed. My guess is when he popped up, he went underneath the water and the D-Rex just couldn't see him. Because we had that kind of moment was teased when Isabella went to open up the gate. The D-Rex couldn't really see in front of him. He could only see on the side of him. So I'm assuming that's how Duncan escaped the water. I think they should have committed to it and just killed off Mahershala Ali, even though I love Mahershala Ali. I think it would have hit more and been more impactful if he would have unfortunately died. I think that would have been really a big character moment for Scarlett Johansson's Zora character. But I guess they didn't want to commit it, and they probably just wanted to bring back Mahershala Ali in the sequels. So, but that's just me. That's probably what I would have did. I would have had Duncan be killed off for, cinematic effect and kind of have Scarlett Johansson's character live with that through future sequels. But that's just me. Martin driving to the docks. Copy and paste what Wayne McKnight did in the first one, where he's driving through the rain in a tsunami, trying to get the embryos to the dock, and he crashes and gets eaten by that little freaky ass tar spitting dinosaur, which I can never remember the name of, but that one came back too. I leaned over to my sister. I go, they brought him back, because that seems to be a trope with that little dude with like the little things around his neck. I can't remember what the dinosaur's name, but that thing freaks me out still. But yeah, Martin driving to the docks was copy and paste what Wayne McKnight did in the first film as well. Driving the Jurassic Jeep, trying to give the samples to the docks. Copy and paste the first film. Then we have Martin's severed hand. This is a result of him driving through the docks. He crashes into the D-Rex, and the D-Rex eats him. But then we see the case of blood fall down with Martin's hand still attached. This is, of course, copying reference to Sam Jackson's character getting his hand ripped off by the Raptors in the first film. So that was I wasn't expecting that one, but they recreated that one pretty well. And then the last one I have on the list is hiding from the dinosaur in the gas station. This is basically copy and paste almost to that scene with the two kids in the first film, where they are kind of sneaking around the kitchen there with the two raptors looking for them. That's the same thing with this gas station, where the family is kind of maneuvering through the aisles in the gas station. Little Isabella goes into the fridge to hide from the dinosaur snooping in there. So it pretty much copy and paste that kitchen scene too in the first film. So yeah, there's a lot of moments that they just ripped out of the first film and just kind of like let's do that again, but in our way. So, but hey, I respect it. Maybe do like half of these next time and not like the entire movie. I like it when they recreate scenes from original installments, but this is a bit dramatic, a little bit too much. Like, let's cut this down to maybe like three and then have some original ideas. That's kind of what we're looking for here. Like, if you're going to copy and paste scenes from the first movie, I'm just going to watch the first movie other than this one. So, but that's my take on it. Maybe some people really enjoy that they did all these scenes, but it's just something I noticed right away. I got to about the fifth one. I'm like, wow, this is a lot of scenes they're cutting into here. They like really wanted to recreate the first movie by literally putting scenes in from there. So some predictions for possible sequels is my next note here. Characters from this film returning. Sure, I would love to see Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, Jonathan Bailey return. I would like to see some of the family members, like maybe Isabella's a little older, and she has a little Dolores with her. Maybe we get like, I doubt Chris Pratt comes back, but maybe some other side characters from the other Jurassic World movies maybe pop up to kind of like connect all those films. But if they're going to do a sequel, I know Scarlett Johansson has stated in a couple of interviews that she's always loved the Jurassic Park franchise and she's always wanted to join it, and now she's in it. So I got to imagine, with her being done with Marvel now, this could be the next franchise she kind of sinks her teeth into. No pun intended. For the next, I don't know, 3 installments, maybe she wants to give it a try. So I would really love to see Scarlett Johansson and Jonathan Bailey come back. Maybe they start, cooking up a romance or something, or maybe they go into business together, because I really like their chemistry. So I'm really looking forward to seeing those two bring their characters back for a sequel. What do they do with the collected blood that they have at the end? I'm assuming they use it to cure heart disease or whatever disease that they're able to use it for. My guess is in the sequel to this movie, if they do end up making one, they're going to maybe answer that question. Like maybe it opens up with, oh, the world is now saved. Heart disease isn't a problem, thanks to the dinosaurs that were lost to us and now are back. They saved our lives. So let's try to save them. Maybe that's what they do, similar to like Fallen Kingdom, where Bryce Dallas Howard's character, instead of caging them like she did in the first movie, now she wants to help them in the second movie. So maybe that's kind of what we get. Maybe like a redo of Fallen Kingdom. And like I keep saying throughout the episode, let's get back to the basics. So let's chop off Jurassic World. Let's just name the movie Jurassic Park again. We've had 4 movies now named Jurassic World. It was a neat, change when that first Jurassic World movie came out. But I missed the word park in the title. Like, let's get back to Jurassic Park. I want to see them get back to basics. Let's reopen the parks. Let's bring in a new John Hammond, and let's kick this off like the originals. That's what I'm looking for. Let's see if there's anything else in my notes. No, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to cover today. I'm going to go over the rankings in our ranking segment coming up, and I'm going to give the popcorn bucket tier for this movie as well. But yeah, check out Jurassic World in theaters today. If you haven't seen it, I spoiled a lot for you. If you have seen it, go ahead and check it out in the theaters again. I might go see this again in the theater just to kind of see what I feel after a second viewing. Probably maybe like a $6 Tuesday at Marcus Theaters. I'll probably go check this out. But I'm definitely going to add this to the Jurassic Park collection when it comes out on digital. My guess is it'll hit Peacock maybe August, September, probably September. It seems to be, a couple month gap between theaters and streaming services, but it'll most likely get thrown onto Peacock since this is a Universal film. So be on the lookout for that. So to end the episode, let's head over to rankings. All right, so I have my rankings pulled up here. I'm going to work my way from the bottom up. So at number 7, I have Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Really don't care for the cloning part in there. Um, I like that Bryce Dallas Howard is back. I like that Chris Pratt is back. It's just the cloning and the dinosaur action really turned me off on that film. So that one's got to be on the bottom for me. Number 6, I have Jurassic World Dominion. Similar reasons for Fallen Kingdom. It just was a cash grab. All they did was bring back the original 3 from the first films and just like, hey, Fallen Kingdom didn't work. Let's just bring back everyone to there. The story was okay. They kind of brought back Dotson. I think it was his brother this time. So like they did their best to try to recreate the first one in a way, similar to Rebirth, but I think Rebirth did it better. Yeah, Dominion just didn't really work for me either. It was cool to see Sam Neill and Laura Dern and Jeff Goldblum, of course, back. But it's like, let's come up with something new. Like, let's quit trying to rehash and bring all these characters back just because you tried something original and it didn't work. So that's what a lot of franchises do. They try to revert back to what people loved, but it's just this Dominion didn't work. Jurassic World Rebirth is where I got at number 5. I like this film. I know I had a big issues with how the dinosaurs looked, but I had a lot of fun watching it. The action was good. I like Jonathan Bailey. I like Scarlett Johansson in there. Mahershala Ali. I like all the cast. I think the cast did a really good job. It's just my biggest gripe is how the dinosaurs looked and the whole mutation and similar to the cloning. Like I get cloning is kind of how we got here, but like when you start cloning people, it's not Jurassic Park anymore. Like that's a totally different genre of movies. Same thing with how the dinosaurs look like with the mutations. Like this is turning into an alien movie. Like let's save that for an alien movie. Let's get back to dinosaurs. So that's why it's at number 5 for me. Number 4, The Lost World, Jurassic Park. This is the second film in the franchise. This used to be my least favorite one, surprisingly. But I rewatched all these ahead of Rebirth and the podcast today, and it's moved up from 6 to 4. So I think a lot of Spielberg fans, when they saw my ranking list, they're like, "How could you have Spielberg's sequel at the very bottom of the rankings below Fallen Kingdom?" I just didn't care for it growing up. I would rather throw on the first Jurassic Park or Jurassic Park 3, honestly. But after rewatching The Lost World, I have a lot more respect for it, and I really enjoyed it. I still don't care for the T-Rex getting loose into the city. You can cut out that last like 40 minutes of the movie, and I love everything else in it. I love it when they're on the island, they're running away from T-Rexes, they got the raptors coming after them. Like all that's really cool. It's just when we get to the city, it just really like I wanted to end the movie as soon as they got onto the boats back to the city. I think it was San Francisco, if I remember right. Number 3, it's Jurassic Park 3. I really like it. I love that Sam Neill came back. I love William H. Macy in there. Yeah, the cast was good. Tia Leone was fine. I think she was a bit obnoxious in there, but I don't blame her. I blame the writing for the character. But yeah, I love Billy in there. Laura Dern comes back for that one. And I like it because, the pterodactyls come in. That's something we didn't really get in the first 2 films. So yeah, I really like the third one. I know a lot of people didn't care for it, but I think I've watched it the most out of all these. Number 2 is Jurassic World, which is a very recent move on my part in the rankings. This one used to be like number 5 on the list, or number 4. Now it's at number 2. I really, really liked Jurassic World this last time I rewatched it. I love Bryce Dallas Howard in there. I love Chris Pratt in there. Chris Pratt might be my favorite character in this franchise, next to Sam Neill, probably. I love that. I love their raptor connection. I love Blue. Blue is freaking awesome. So yeah, Jurassic World is my second favorite out of this franchise, which is very surprising to me. And then number one is the original Jurassic Park. Like, this is as the best as we're going to get for Jurassic Park. Spielberg did a fantastic job with this. John Williams kills it with the score. I think at the time, this came out in 93, like, no one has ever seen anything like this before with the technology they used to bring the dinosaurs to life. The story's great. The characters are great. The action is fantastic. Yeah, this movie, even in 2025, really holds up. So yeah, it's got to be number one for me. So the final bit to do in the ranking segment, and that is to give the tier ranking for Jurassic Rebirth. So let me look at my notes here. We are going to give this, I'm going to give this 3 popcorn buckets. Because of how the dinosaurs look in here, I just can't. I really want to give it 4. Let me think about this. I'm going to give it 4. I like everything but how the dinosaurs look, and I know that sounds kind of ass backwards, but I'm going to give it 4. I'm going to give it 4 popcorn buckets because I love the characters. I love the chemistry that all of them have together. I love the action. The music was really reminiscent of the original trilogy of movies. Scarlett Johansson's in there, so she kind of gives a little credit there. But yeah, I'm going to give it 4 popcorn buckets, which is very surprising to me, but I'm going to go with that. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to punch that in, run it up to the podium. Jurassic World Rebirth gets 4 popcorn buckets on the popcorn scale. I'm going to post my rankings for the franchise along with the popcorn bucket rankings for all 7 movies, and I'll post those on social media as well, so you guys can all look at that. That's going to do it for today's Jurassic-filled episode. Looking ahead to the schedule, we actually have the 200th episode coming up next for Cinematic Reviews, which I didn't realize I was going to be at 200 until I was counting up the episodes for this one. This episode is 199, so that means the next review will be episode 200. And that'll be Superman. James Gunn's Superman comes out this weekend, theaters worldwide, and I'm very excited to make Superman the 200th episode on Cinematic Reviews. It's a huge milestone, and I'm very excited. Thank you for supporting me, supporting the show all these last few years, and we are at episode 200 coming. I'm going to try to get that episode out either Friday or Saturday. I'm actually going to the very first showing in my city for Superman on Thursday, so that'll give me time to kind of gather my reactions, my notes, and then do the recording of the episode, of course. So be on the lookout for the 200th episode of Cinematic Reviews at the end of this week. I'll see you guys later.